Hey there, true believers. So, we are back again to do another reaction, this time to Daredevil Born Again. But before we get into it, we were going to have a round table to discuss the first 3 seasons of Daredevil.
I thought we were going to have a round table to discuss these eggs.
We are not endorsed by Cadbury's.
And who's going to get what egg?
There is no... This isn't even up... You moved my egg around. Right.
So what's this here then? Whisper?
It's Whisper.
And buttons.
Yeah.
So we've got chocolate orange.
Mine.
Buttons. And
You got it wrong. It's Whisper and buttons.
So
Whisper and buttons.
Which one do you want?
In case you couldn't tell, it's Easter weekend.
Because we've only got 2 left, because, you know...
Well, I mean, you're not fighting me for it, so...
I'll take the Whisper.
Okay, and I'll take the buttons.
There you go.
And you're happy with that?
That's that.
We're all
Absolutely
happy.
happy.
Sorted?
Absolutely fine.
It's such a male argument. It's just like we all got what we want and we're happy.
12.
Right, simple.
I'm not happy.
Why? What one did you want?
I don't know. I'm just...
He wanted the 12.
Did you want the 12, Dan?
It's an orange flavoured 12.
Dan, did you want that?
No, fine. You take my 12. I mean, you have the 12.
There we go. You can have the 12. Yes. Oh, fuck, I've got mind game shit. Oh, man. Oh.
So we are here to discuss Daredevil seasons 1, 2, and 3, and The Defenders season 1, or the only season of The Defenders, because Rich has literally just ploughed through all of this stuff in one foul swoop, so that we can get to the Daredevil Born Again reaction.
I have.
So we'll start out with your thoughts and feelings. We'll go season by season. So obviously you watched season 1 of Daredevil when it came out.
I did.
And you've just done it on a rewatch. So what's thoughts and feelings rewatching it again?
Season 1 is definitely the best. There's no question.
Ooh.
Season 1 is definitive Daredevil. I can see why people still, revere it. It's incredible. It's a really confined story. You're basically watching Matt Murdock discover his powers, figure out the city, deal with Wilson Fisk. I love all the struggles. There's loads of struggles, and it's a really small, like a really sort of intricate story. I feel like, and I love it. And the best thing about it is every episode he's either getting beaten up or he's learning a lesson, and I just think the whole thing is great.
So your favourite thing about it is that he's getting beaten up?
I just think his struggle is why it's so good, and it's epitomised with episode 2, which is very famous now. I didn't actually write the name of it down. It's called The Cutman, isn't it? It's called Cutman. But it's got an 8.9 rating on IMDb. It's the corridor scene. It's the corridor scene. The scene where you think, this is going to be a little bit of a punch up. And then it's a 5-minute, one shot, take. One take, yeah. Just brutal. I remember John Campion talking about it. But it's just amazing. And then that's a recurring theme, because obviously that they do a scene like that in season 2 and season 3. But with season 1, I mean, some of the highlights for me were obviously episode 2, season 1, episode 3, Shadows of the Past, when Wilson Fisk, you learn about Wilson Fisk when he was young and he beat up his dad. They take the guy from The Wire, they use him, but just really good. It gives you a sense of who he is. Season 1, episode 11, The Path of the Righteous. This is where Karen kills Wesley. And the reason why it sticks for me is, as you're aware, I loved Wesley. I thought Wesley was an incredible character. He made Wilson Fisk this kind of untouchable boss, because you couldn't get... James Wesley ran
basically
everything.
he was the one who was running,
but also his voice and his presentation, he was something out of a comic book. He was just amazing. But the whole season is quite short, but it's fantastic. The things I didn't like about it, Melvin, I absolutely hated Melvin. He's working for Fisk. He knows quite a lot, but he's portrayed as simple. But I thought that was wrong. I thought that was wrong of them to do that with his character, because maybe he is in the comics, I don't know, but Daredevil kind of bamboozles him quite easily by getting him to make him a suit and, convincing him he can look after Betsy or whatever. But it's all kind of slapdash, I felt. I felt like, the way season 1, it was so well put together. They could have got Wilson Fisk, who was, or maybe James Wesley, who was working with this person to build suits. And they could have made that character a bit more fulfilled, I guess. They could make that character a bit more interesting so that when Daredevil had to get his suit off him, he could be challenging him rather than just... It was just a physical altercation. And after that, for some reason, Melvin was making him a suit. And I was like, well, that's a bit, someone who's safely guarded by Kingpin. They made him a bit too easy, too accessible, and I just thought it was a bit ridiculous. I think they did him a disservice, really. And then James Wesley, I thought was amazing. Season 2. Sorry, one more thing to finish off that. Rotten Tomatoes rated that season 99%. Like 74 people gave it 99%, and I would agree with that. It's the highest rated season out of the entire lot.
Yep.
And I would watch it again. I love it. Season 2, I know not everyone loved it. It got 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. 58 people rated that. I really liked it. I liked the fact they grew the world. They introduced more characters. Episode 3, New York's Finest. John Bernthal comes in as the Punisher. Incredible. Just his walk and just
swagger.
His no nonsense attitude, everything. Like, I don't know how you would ever portray the Punisher. I know they've tried to do it before with David Hasselhoff, but it's
there's
hard.
been a couple of iterations.
You had the Marvel movie, not what?
And when you say David Hasselhoff, I think you're getting slightly mixed up.
It's Nick Fury, isn't it?
He's Nick Fury.
Oh shit, sorry. Yeah.
No, you had Dolph Lundgren.
That was it, Dolph Lundgren. Yeah.
And then after that, you had. I blanked on his name.
The dude from the first.
I remember it was John Travolta was the bad guy, right?
Yeah. If you want to look his name up, but I mean, he was good. They had a wrestler that I can't remember the name of that played the big Russian bloke.
Yeah. But
yeah, I mean, okay, whatever.
Thomas Jane.
Yeah,
I think it's Thomas Jane.
Yeah, it is Thomas Jane.
But to me, Bernthal put his stamp on it, and he just within that Netflix Daredevil universe, he made the character believable and interesting. And what I love about the fact is the fact they knew this character had a limited shelf life. Fires guns, he's pretty extreme, you can't do much with him. And they basically gave him 1 to 4 episodes, and that was all you needed to tell his story. And when he finishes, when Daredevil takes him out and he's sitting against the gravestones, it's just so great. I just loved all that.
I was going to say I love John Bernthal can do Tortured like just about better than anyone.
That's it.
But there's a really funny interaction in that scene about the gravestone.
Yeah,
because they apparently they had to do a few takes of Matt Murdock carrying the Punisher,
right,
and apparently, and that's all. It's all centered around the Punisher, right? Charlie Cox isn't doing a lot of acting in all of that, but there's a bit where you can see a tear like trickling down his face, and it's not tear, it's sweat. And apparently, after the set was done, John Bernthal was like, "You're trying to steal my thunder," because he was just like, he couldn't help the sweat.
I can believe that. I can believe that because you in episode 3. He gets introduced to you as Newt's finest and whatnot, and then he captures Daredevil and he ties him up on the roof, and they had this amazing back and forth about what's right, what's wrong, how far you're going to take it, and then Punisher starts calling him Red, and they get this kind of rapport together. Great episode. But then after that, we get to that scene where they get shot up and he drags him to the graveyard or the cemetery, I think. And John Bernthal, so the Punisher, is going through his penny and dime monologue where he's talking about what's driven him to this extreme. And he does this insane, speech about what drives him. And you're right, it's like... I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised they probably thought that the guy, Matt Murdock, was... The guy playing Matt Murdock was having...
Charlie Cox.
Was having a bit of a moment because it was like really good, and I'd actually never seen I've seen John Bernthal in The Walking Dead, but I'd never seen him have a moment like this where he really just sort of pours his heart up. I mean, again, the Punisher, massive tip. So that was him done. We then move on to the second season.
Yeah, an edit,
and we're back. And we then go to the second half of season 2. And we get Elektra, who's played by Elodie Young, who's a French actress who is the entire reason you would watch season 2. I mean, she's
she's fantastic.
Hot on another level. I mean, she's just incredible.
I mean,
Elektra's an
I'm
interesting
feel
character.
really bad because I'm sitting here like thinking, who?
If you
Elektra Nachos.
Elektra Nachos. I mean, she's hot, but like
Not
beyond
nachos.
that, no, not nachos. No, but beyond that, she can actually fight.
Yep.
So they use her in a lot of scenes, and she's actually a really interesting character. So they use her for the next, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 episodes, and she kind of finishes off season 2 with Daredevil coming back and the introduction of the Hand. Just to recap with season 1, season 2 here, Karen Page is still annoying. The actress that plays her, she's good looking. I know you like her, but she is so annoying. And if it wasn't for her saving episode in episode 10, season 3, I would be basically wishing she'd never turned up. But Foggy, I can live with. Karen Page, really annoying.
Not Foggy.
Stick's kind of good.
What don't you like about the Karen Page character?
She just never stops whinging. And Matt Murdock's life is already hard enough. And she's always like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you shouldn't do that.
So she's acting as like an emotional or a moral counterbalance to the things that
Foggy's already doing that. Foggy's already that guy. You don't need Karen. Karen, the name Karen. We move on to Defenders.
Right, you put 50p in.
Okay,
Anyway.
so just before you move on to Defenders, I want to point out very quickly here that Rich has done a speed run of Daredevil, Defenders, Daredevil, and the Defenders I threw in there because I told you had to watch it. Getting this pencil.
I had to watch it, yeah.
As almost like a season 2.5 of Daredevil. I'm pointing this out because you have not, to this point, watched any of the other shows. So, for a context perspective, not watched Luke Cage, not watched Jessica Jones, and not watched Iron Fist.
Travesty.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna get to that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And now with that, give us
Yeah,
your
I mean,
thoughts.
I'd seen season 1 before.
Wait, did you watch Iron Fist?
I'd seen
No.
season 2 before, mostly. I knew the Defenders had come out around that time. I'd not bothered watching Luke Cage or Jessica Jones or Iron Fist. I just went straight into Defenders because, I'll be honest, I couldn't be arsed with it. So, Defenders. As you know, I loved episode 1. I thought episode 1 was absolutely incredible. Defenders. All these people coming into the city in different ways. You've got Luke Cage coming in through the subway, Jessica Jones walking from downtown, Iron Fist flying in a helicopter, Daredevil coming in the way he does. Each character coming in had different music, different theme, different vibe. Loved it. I just thought it was so good. It just, and of course you knew where you stood with Daredevil, but the other 3, at least for me, I was like, what are we getting to see here? What I haven't seen before. It's brilliant.
On that note, as a trivia piece to that, because it's funny that you mentioned vibes, also for the first few episodes, they ensured that the colour palettes for
It's brilliant.
each one
So
represented their colours. So Finn Jones would be wearing something green, there'll be something yellow for Luke Cage, and then there'll be something red for Charlie Cox. The only one I think that they didn't specifically go with colour coding for was Jessica Jones, but that's
Black.
because
It's like black.
the other 3 all have colour codes
Yeah.
that go with their comic book characters.
Yeah.
So, and also they did that with lighting as well. So each character on stage, in screen, they would be changing the lighting to fit that character's general colour scheme.
It was just brilliant, and I loved the fact that you had Foggy in the first episode, sort of giving you, giving something familiar of what you know. But yeah, it was really good, and I was aware they were showing me things with each character that more hardcore fans who'd watched the actual series would know. Why there was a hole in Jessica Jones' wall, and why there was Luke Cage was speaking to this woman, and why I knew they were putting things in there, but to me I was like, doesn't matter, we'll just keep moving on, and it was just great. I think it was quite a short series, about
8 episodes.
8 episodes.
Yeah.
After that, the Hand comes in, blah blah blah. Stick comes in. Yeah, it was good. Sigourney Weaver was a massive disappointment, but okay, fine. It was okay. I actually thought Luke Cage was the unsung hero of that show. The interaction with him and Iron Fist was brilliant. I love
We've
that.
got a Mike Colton fan.
Jessica Jones, she's just hot, isn't she? She's just really hot. She's great.
Matter.
I really liked her. Daredevil kind of took a backseat. I mean, I know they wanted to progress his storyline with Elektra, and I get that. I found him I was going along with it, but I was like, okay, let's just get to season 3 because I knew season 3 was ultimately where the story was going to go.
Yep.
I like the way it ended. Yeah, it was good. And some introduction of some sort of police characters that I think came back later as well. So that was Defenders. Yep, nice, whatever, short. Yes, that was that. Season 3, 97% rated on Rotten Tomatoes. 67 people rated that. So this is the second highest rating show out of the 3. Now, I was aware people had told me this was good. I had never seen any of this. I would not have rated it 97%. I would have rated it less than season 2 and definitely less than season 1. I would have probably rated it, I don't know, 80, 70.
Okay.
I thought for the first 10 episodes, rubbish. I felt that we were building background characters to get to the main event. And I get that they had to do that with Ray, the FBI agent, and I get they had to do that with, I guess Daredevil's redemption after he died. Spoiler alert, and with Wilson Fisk, but it was just dragging. It was dragging and dragging. I just remembered who was Karen Page's editor, Ellison.
Oh yeah,
God, I hate him. He reminds me as well. But
there's a lot of hate coming off
season
you for
3,
some of these characters.
Season 3, episode 4 is also the prison scene. So I should also go back on season 2 with the famous prison scene with the Punisher, where he basically stabs 10 men for Wilson Fisk. That was season 2, episode 9. 7 Minutes in Heaven. That was that. And then on season 3 we had episode 4, Blindside. Again, that was the scene where he fights the Albanians, where he's going through. That was brilliant. Love that. Jump forward to episode 10. That is really where it kicks off. Episode called Karen. Now, when they went into this, I went, episode focused on Karen. I was almost prepared to just go and make lunch and come back. Because I was like, I did not have any interest in Karen. The best episode of the entire season. Just her actual acting ability is insane, and she is so good. Why did we wait 3 seasons to get a backstory on Karen? Like, and it makes sense as to why she was able to do all these amazing things. Take it to Fisk and sort of and put her life in jeopardy. Everything, because she's already just as broken as Matt Murdock is, and I loved it. So from that point on, Karen gets a tick from me. Okay. Karen gets
right at the very end.
Right at the very end, Karen gets a green tick for me, and I like her being in the trio, I guess. After that, you've got 4 episodes, 10, 11, 12, 13. It really picks up. I loved Ray and his confession, and the fact they tried to get Wilson Fisk tried with the confession. It doesn't work out, and they have to do it again. Just shows the power of Wilson Fisk and his reach. And I love the fact that it culminated in that final, that final push to get the verdict over the line with the confession on the camera. And then you get the fight scene, the penultimate fight scene between Daredevil and Wilson Fisk, and also
Bullseye,
Ben Poindexter. And I like the fact that in that scene they didn't make it too big. There weren't guns involved. It was just a straight out fist fight, which is something Daredevil can do and Wilson Fisk can do, and it kind of finished with a kind of sensible, I've beaten you and we make a deal, and it sort of set up for a kind of, maybe there's something else that's going to happen later down the line, but we've finished the story of the 3 seasons, and I really like the way that finished. But yeah, just touching on Ben Poindexter, who was mainly the antagonist for that series.
Yep.
Loved him. Absolutely loved him. The walk, when he starts dressing as Daredevil, I loved his little walk, his head movement. And they started revealing to the audience that this guy was Bullseye. They never said it until the end, where they kind of implied it, but they never said it. Loved that character. And then we finish on the final episode, A New Napkin, which is the highest rated episode, which is 9.6 on IMDb. it finishes with a nice little bow on it. You know, the entire 3 seasons are done. Great. I would still recommend season 1 to anyone. And I'm excited about what we're going to get now with Daredevil Born Again. My one wish is that I am hoping the same character that plays Bullseye turns up in this. I am hoping Bullseye returns.
You wanted Ben Poindexter.
I need more of that character. Other than that, let's see what happens.
Okay,
That's my roundup.
He didn't even mention Rosario Dawson.
I know.
Come on,
no,
dude.
no,
Like,
no,
she's
no,
talking about
anywhere.
pretty
No.
girls,
She's
dude.
good.
It's
She's
like-
good. I liked her in season. I mean, she's hot in season 1. I just. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, but good shout.
Terrible.
Oh, I was going to say, were there any counterpoints from you?
Right there.
Did I cover it
Right
up there?
there.
Covered quite a
I
lot.
think the only thing and this is more me nitpicking. At the start, you said it was about him developing his powers, and it was more like he was understanding the limits of his.
It was fine tuning, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was understanding his limits more both physically and mentally, because he could always do that from the very beginning. He didn't sharpen up in any way, except when he got the sticky thing.
Oh,
like the
yeah.
weapons.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I would
Yeah.
definitely say I would say his journey is more one of the two sides of what he's doing and coming to grips with the fact that he is very brutally going onto the streets and doing damage to people, etc., for the right reasons. But his journey is all about coming to grips with that from an ethical perspective, which is why I loved, personally, with season 2, him and the Punisher, that rooftop scene. I know John Campion talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
But it's coming together that idea of where's the line, where do you draw it? And
it's brilliant.
and also, I really like all the religious stuff. I love the fact that Matt Murdock is a Christian and he's got that side of himself that he has to...
Yeah, he's constantly balancing.
Yeah,
himself,
like he's
right?
effectively... And that's why he's like the daredevil, because he's effectively a man in sin. Even though he's the hero of the story, he's aware that what he does is sinful behaviour.
Yeah,
And,
I mean,
and not to mention his career as a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's also
Well,
like
that-
and we all know that lawyers are like,
Sorry,
shady.
any lawyer fans.
yeah. If any solicitors out there, this isn't slander. It's like people always call it questionable. Like if you're a defender of the accused, then you're helping guilty people get away with it. It's that perception of it, isn't it? It's not regardless of what the job actually is. It's ensuring that somebody is treated fairly in a trial, or that the right evidence is provided to make sure the full story is whatever. So
Yeah.
he's constantly having to balance himself.
Well, balance the two lives, yeah, and they
religiously,
talk about that in the show.
Morally, professionally, every element, and physically as well. Because there are people coming back from his past, which is what's the name of his old mentor, who's also blind?
Stick.
Yeah. So there's all these people like constantly pushing him,
But this is what I liked about season 1. Season 1 focused on the fact that he was getting beaten up every night, and he'd have to heal, and he'd have to hide it, and he'd have to carry on with his normal life. He'd have to sort of convince Karen that he hasn't been drinking, and there are lots of things in season 1 that were a deep dive into a complicated character that is trying to live 2 lives, and you're trying to figure out how he's doing it. Season 2, I think you said this, it became a bit too mystical, and you didn't really like it that much.
Oh no, I really
you did
enjoyed. It's not even
it.
the mystical. It's not the mystical elements. I really enjoyed season 2, but I think again I really enjoyed it because of the character pieces. First, as I've already just mentioned, the Daredevil bit, but even when Elektra comes in, I really like. It's more about their characters and his character with hers, and the fact that they're clearly the attraction is because opposites attract and stuff, and she's kind of like the bad girl as opposed to usually the bad boy, trying to bring out his more naughty side.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd say heroic side. I mean, it's because in season 1, there's that counterbalance between him being a lawyer and a hero. I feel like in season 2, when he meets Elektra, that is his tipping point for where he starts going down the hero path, and he's kind of casting away the lawyer. Mm-hmm. But by the time he comes back from Defenders, he's basically saying to Foggy and Karen, I am this character, I can't get away from it. Matt Murdock is dead, leave me alone, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he fully committed to the hero character, and that is the future of Daredevil. But just to finish off Wilson Fisk, he has to step back into his attorney role so they can do it by the books and do it Foggy's way. Foggy, you know, he was a kind of annoying character, but he was played very well by the actor, whoever that is. But they have to keep him being annoying because he was the attorney who was consistently playing that, you know, that law figure throughout the entire show.
Name, but
I can't remember his name.
I can't remember, but do you remember where you should know him from?
He's Nelson from Mighty Ducks.
Yeah,
he's the dude
one of
that
the Bash
does.
Brothers.
Yeah, but it's good. You need him because he basically keeps that law element of it, doesn't he? Like throughout the entire thing, and then when he tries to go and become DA at the end and everything, it's well balanced. It's just I felt like season 1 was the most balanced, and I do wonder if there were different directors for each season, but it just felt like it changed a bit. Like by the time we got to season 3, it felt like it changed. But there's a reason why it's so highly rated on IMDb, and it is a great show. And if anyone hasn't watched it, they absolutely should.
Despite all of your spoilers throughout this,
despite all of my spoilers, it you know, I don't know. I can't remember when it was first released. What 2015?
The name is Eldon Henson, by the way.
Eldon Henson.
Yeah.
Good. All the actors are great. The last thing I should probably talk about, which we haven't spoken about yet, is the dude that plays Wilson Fisk.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
I mean,
he's great.
I mean, he's the reason why you watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the reason why you watch. Like, there is no better portrayal of the Kingpin. I can't ever see it happening. I can't ever. You know, the Kingpin in the comics is pretty two-dimensional. He's a crime boss. That's it. But in this show, he's so much more than that. So I'm glad he's coming back.
Yeah, and I would definitely make the argument that very much like Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark, and then Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, I would definitely say Vincent D'Onofrio has very much made the Kingpin his character.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And I would feel sorry for anyone that tries to then fill said shoes.
Yeah,
I think it's just like it's almost like his physical embodiment is not the acting skill behind it. It's the fact that he looks like it.
Yeah,
I remember, you know, from when I remember watching like The Adventures of Spider-Man, and you look at even how they animated it, and then if you went, well, actually, that's not that far removed, and it's just kind of that's why it's kind of he's almost like he was born to become that, even though he won't. And he's had a very good career. But it's just the way, it's the look of him. Well, I can't imagine anyone having that same look.
That same presence, yeah. He's a great actor. He was in Full Metal Jacket, and he's established, right? He's always had the ability to act. But in this, and I knew that I liked him from season 1, so I was watching things when I was watching season 1 again, specifically about him. You know, he's a big guy, but they make him look bigger by putting him against smaller people, but also camera angles. They film him from like the side and under, and so when he walks into the frame, whatever, he's just taking most of it up, from the back, from the side, everything, you know. And he's such a striking character, you know. So they do that to him, but also he never holds a gun, he never smokes a cigar, and there's something else he doesn't do as well. But these are classic tropes that Kingpin had. Most of what he does on screen is just it's grunting, it's facial expressions, and you're left with this kind of like this nervous uncertainty about what's about to happen next.
I like the whispery style of
it's like
Vanessa. It's always very like
but you know there's a threat.
You know, there's like under the surface he's like a volcano. It's like the bit that always stands out for me when I think about Kingpin in
the car scene.
Just caving that dude's head in, and I'm just
with the car door,
and it's just like, so I think that's one of the first times you see him be like
raw power,
and it's just kind of like, holy cow, this guy's an absolute machine.
As a link, I would actually make the argument that's probably from the opposite side, part of the reason why you like Luke Cage so much, because I felt like the performances between those two, even though they're polar opposite characters, very similar performances. So in much the same way, Luke Cage, even though he's a hero, his demeanour is very quiet, very calm, very like you don't really know what's going on behind. But if he wanted to, or if he was capable of, he, like Kingpin, could just then start tearing people apart. But it's the calm demeanour of everything.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think the same with Kingpin. It's all very calm. It's all very quiet until you see the raw emotion.
Oh yeah, the raw,
out.
animalistic energy. I mean, it's just it was. I thought it was. You know, to me, if you said you're going to watch 30 episodes of Daredevil and the Kingpin's going to be the main focus, I'd be like, oh, really? Like, 3 maximum, 4. Like, what can you do with that character? And he's just, and when you finish season 1, you're like, the reason why I love this so much is because the dude playing Matt Murdock and the dude playing Wilson Fisk, those two are great, and they carry them right the way through to the end, where they had that final little.
They are like two sides of the same
coin.
It's
brilliant.
And that's what makes it work.
It's fantastic. And yeah, just last thing to catch on the redemption, I was aware that Daredevil was, Christian, part of the church and all that sort of stuff. And I'd forgotten that he actually, I think in the comics one, he actually spends a lot of his time in the churches and in the dungeons of the churches. And I think they briefly show that in the Ben Affleck version back in 2003 or 2.
Are we allowed to speak about that one now?
We shouldn't, but I'm just briefly saying that it's.
I felt like that got chucked in the bucket with the Ryan Reynolds version of.
Well, I've said 2 Hail Marys, it's fine. But I mean, it's. I realise that's Matt Murdock just going around New York being blind and working in an office. That isn't actually his normal scenario. His setting is actually in the church, confessing his sins and all that. And in season 3, when they're doing that with the priest and the nuns and whatnot, I was like, oh, this is starting to come back to me. Like, I'm starting to remember like what his actual sort of
one of his key focal points.
Yeah, key focus point is, yeah. And I thought that his redemption, even though it was slow there, was good. And obviously the revelation of his mum being the nun and everything, that was great. But it I mean, ultimately, when you got to that point in the show, he's on that path to becoming Daredevil and nothing else.
Yeah.
And I'm keen to see when we go into this new show what his living situation's like. Have more stories, have more adventures taken place between Daredevil and Kingpin between the time of season 3 and Born Again, because I feel like there's so much more that could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I know Kingpin gets sent to prison, so we're going to find out if he's come out or what his situation is. And I think I think Matt Murdock has given up being Daredevil. I mean, he wasn't wearing the suit at the end of season 3 because obviously Bullseye was wearing it. So we're going to find out if he ends up donning the suit again.
Well, hang on, I thought Bullseye was having that back operation.
Very briefly, it was a throwaway clip at the end, but it ultimately the show leaves you with, Matt Murdock has not worn the costume in season 3. He's worn the Black Ninja costume.
Yeah. He went to be Spider-Man's lawyer.
That's it. I was going to say, because the last couple of things before we get into it, which hopefully you haven't seen, and I hope that no one ever sees, outside of the Spider-Man cameo, is that we have seen a bit more of Daredevil and Kingpin since. Obviously, Kingpin in the Hawkeye show, which was fine.
I can't really remember
I didn't even watch Hawkeye, so...
and then Daredevil himself came back in She-Hulk, which was a travesty. And then a little bit in the Echo series, which again was very throwaway, again with Kingpin in that as well. So,
what was his role in the She-Hulk film?
In the She-Hulk series, but to be her booty call.
Oh, really?
Effectively.
I don't remember that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like,
maybe he...
he's a good-looking guy. I mean, I don't remember him getting laid by...
Well, maybe he didn't know what he was getting his hands on until it was too late, if you know what I mean.
Smash.
Maybe he likes his ladies to
She-Hulk smash.
She-Hulk smash.
He likes his women to be hella thick.
So on that note, we are going to now go and watch Daredevil Born Again.
With these bad boys.
Yes, I'm so ready.
Come on, very excited.
Look, I've been waiting for ages for this. Let's go.
He was even upset that I was doing this little thing beforehand, so we're going to get into it.
We could have gone through a whole episode by now. But to be fair, your recap was really good because I haven't watched it since they came out.
Yeah, this has been really good because and again, this is going to be fresh because none of us have seen Daredevil Born Again. So
let's go.
Let's get into it.